They thought he was just a grumpy old engineer, a holdover from the past, someone who didn't fit their sleek new corporate culture. But what they didn't realize was that he wasn't just part of the company, he was the company. This story takes place in Sweden around 2005. There, once an employee passes their probation period, they can't be fired without cause. Real cause. Documented, provable, legitimate. Our protagonist? A 55-year-old mechanical engineer. He'd been at the company for years. He wasn't flashy. He didn't fake smiles. He didn't join in on corporate icebreakers. What he did do was get results. He had deep expertise, highly specialized skills, and he trained a huge percentage of the engineering team. He even held patents, not major ones, but technical components that the company used daily. And he had a side business too, officially approved and declared, completely above board. He was old school, calm, sharp, and no nonsense. You asked for help, he gave it. You asked him to play pretend, he walked away. Then the company got acquired. A larger firm stepped in, full of buzzwords and big energy. Management changed, culture changed, and suddenly, clapping became mandatory, literally. They brought in American-style corporate cheer sessions. Cheering, chanting, fake team energy. Our engineer, he wasn't having it. He clapped when forced, but just barely. It made the sessions more awkward, not less. And management noticed. They pushed harder. Unpaid overtime, mandatory positivity, forced events. He refused to bend. He quoted his contract, pointed to the union terms, and stayed on task, without drama. But quietly, others were watching and following his lead. That's when management realized this wasn't just one holdout. He was influencing the culture, training others, quietly pushing back. They wanted him out. But in Sweden, you can't just fire someone like that. So they waited. They watched. They looked for a slip-up. Eventually, they saw him replying to an email for his side business. On his work laptop. He was on break. He had approval. The company policy allowed personal laptop use during breaks, especially for approved side businesses. But they didn't care. They called him into a room, sat him down in front of 3 managers, and told him he was fired for theft of company resources. He looked each of them in the eye and said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" They said yes. "Are you really sure?" Still, yes. They escorted him out of the building, badge turned in, computer left behind. As soon as he hit the sidewalk, he made 2 phone calls. The first was to his union. The second was to his lawyer. The union reversed the firing immediately. There was no cause. He had documentation. The company had violated its own policy. His lawyer issued cease and desist letters for the 2 patents he owned, patents that were now actively in use inside their engineering systems. And then, he took a little vacation. Within days, competitors reached out with job offers. He politely declined, but offered to consult instead. At double his previous hourly rate. They accepted. Back at his old company, chaos erupted. Projects stalled. People panicked. No one knew how to move forward without him. Managers started calling. He declined. They yelled. He smiled and said, "I'm sorry. You must have mistaken me for someone who works for you." Eventually, HR offered to bring him back. He agreed, but only as a consultant. At 6 times his former pay, plus licensing fees for his patents. 2 weeks after being fired, he was back at his desk, working fewer hours on his terms and making a small fortune. When the labor board hearing happened weeks later, the board ruled in his favor. He received 3 months' salary and damages, a 2-year severance package, his full pension, and reimbursement of all legal fees. He continued working part-time until retirement, consulting not just for them, but for their competitors as well. And when a manager complained, he'd just grin and ask, "What are you going to do? Fire me?"